Greetings, crew members. We're back with another review, this time of Love, Death Plus Robots Volume 2. And today...
I'm here. Hello.
Yes. And today I'm with Tamara, who is also a fan of the series, as I am, and well, at least of the first season. We're going to discuss the second season.
Oh, I loved the first season, and we're going to talk about the second season and how I feel about it.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you're not. Thank you so much for watching, but let's dive into it. So we're going to give a bit of an overview on how we feel about the season as a whole.
Yes, and I am excited.
Yeah.
It was okay.
It was good. It's much shorter, which is the biggest thing. It's only 8 episodes as opposed to the 18 we got last time. So we're dealing with under a half of what we had previously. And given the length of some of these episodes too, it feels even shorter. Wasn't one of them
4 minutes?
One of them is 4 minutes. We will talk about that one because that's one of the few ones I feel is a perfect length.
Yeah, basically what we're going to do is we're going to do an overall review of the season, which will include like spoilers from season 1, like volume 1, because we assume you've watched that. And also they're like individual episodes, so it's not hard. It's
and if you haven't seen volume 1, go watch it right now.
And then come back here and watch this video.
Yes.
But what we're going to do is we're going to give like an overall summary of how we felt about the season. And then we're going to go in depth into the individual episode. But overall, like, I liked it. I enjoyed watching it.
I think that the key word is that it is a letdown from season 1. It is lesser than season 1, both in length and in quality.
Yeah, and it feels like they could have, because it's a shorter season, that means that they could have curated the stories more. Because there are a couple duds in volume 1. The garbage dump one is a dud.
Witness.
Or the fish one is
which
kind of a dud.
Which I'll try not to show as much as I can from the witness, because I would like to not be demonetized, YouTube. Thank you. But as far as, like, I think the worst episode of this season doesn't really compare to the worst episodes of last season. Like, the lowers were low last season, but the highs were so high that it kind of
balanced out.
Yeah, brought the rest of it up.
Yeah.
Whereas with this one, even at like its height, I don't really feel like it there's maybe 1 or 2 episodes I feel like kind of touch the height of season 1.
Yeah, but even then it's not the same heights.
No.
These aren't going to stick in my head as much as Sunny's Edge or Zima Blue.
Yeah, or Good Hunting or any
Beyond
of the
the Aquila Rift.
Yeah, those
right,
kind of
which
like...
these episodes we can just name off the top of our head and we don't have in our notes because they're really good episodes.
Yeah, very memorable.
Sunny's Edge
Unlike
is so
that
good.
werewolf one with the soldiers.
They really picked good with our randomized viewing experience because they picked Sunny's Edge first for us. And
that is another key difference to this season. This season, Netflix has locked in the order of the episodes, where with the first season, depending on where you were and how you viewed them, they would order themselves differently. There was even some talk about if they would order themselves differently based on what you had watched before on Netflix. But I don't think that was quite true.
Who knows? They never tell you. They'll never let you know whether it was true or not. Some of the animation in this is gorgeous.
Oh, absolutely.
Stunning animation.
There is an episode that stars Michael B. Jordan that is almost at times indistinguishable from real life.
Yes, but then at other times you can tell. There's one scene where I'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it, yes, but there are...
It's beautiful. Like there's this one that's set in just like a big field and it looks like an oil painting. Sort of,
but you can see like the brush strokes and the texture in their skin. Almost.
And then there's like a stop animation one, or at least it looks like it's stop animation. I don't know if it is or not. It might be that sort of reminds me of like animation.
Monster that film Monster House, where it was made to look like stop motion, but it was done in CG.
Yes, like it could be like that, but it's gorgeous. It's beautiful.
Yes. You really feel like they put their work into the animation, but I think you are right in that they needed to curate the stories a bit better. And I think one of the downsides of the popularity of the first season is that this season they wanted to get stories from more well-known science fiction authors, and those stories kind of end up feeling like the duds of the groups.
And they also cost more money, so that means
you have
less money to put towards other smaller stories
Yeah.
Like, say, Volume 1.
Yeah, and some of those feel like they are short stories and that they are the perfect length, and they kind of end when they should.
Mm.
Some of them feel like they need to be more,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them feel like they need to be less. There are, again, not to harp too much on, this is sort of going to end up being a mini review of season 1 as well, because we haven't really talked about that on the channel yet. Outside of our trailer trash episode for this season, which you can go back and check out, where Tamara and I also talk about
Yes,
Love,
I'm
Death,
a guest
and
star on
Robots.
that one too.
This season, it does feel like they've really they pulled back in order to spend more on the stories themselves.
Mm-hmm. And then those stories aren't as good as season 1, and it kind of feels like you could have just bought really good stories that actually didn't cost you this much money,
and also
I would have been happier.
Yeah, and of course we probably have COVID to thank as well for the shortened season. A lot of different animation studios didn't get the chance probably to finish their contributions, or they decided to scale back based on that. I'll have to read a bit to see if that's true or not, or if they always intended this kind of shorter 8 seasons. 8 seasons would be nice. 8 episodes, yes. But overall, I feel like I'm pretty positive on the series.
I mean,
or at least on the season.
Like, the season was, like I said at the opening, okay.
So we should get into it.
Yeah, let's throw up that big spoiler.
Boom.
It's up. It's there. Do you see
right
it?
There.
There's spoilers now, and we're going to get
Beware
into...
spoiler territory.
We're going to get into each individual episode, and we're going to do it in order.
Yes.
Which means we're going to be starting with automated customer service.
Oof. Yeah, not a strong one to start on.
No.
I feel like this would have been better suited maybe in the middle of pack.
Yeah, mid-pack episode.
This one isn't really one that kind of
This is the only one that made an aesthetic choice that we did not like. And that aesthetic choice was their weird, realistic heads.
The whole design of the human beings. It was meant to look quote unquote human beings. They were meant to look very cartoony, very caricature. They sort of remind me of, like, you know, the kind of boardwalk caricature stuff.
But the reason why those caricatures aren't terrifying is because they're not moving around and smiling at you.
Or having wrinkles and skin textures.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when it's put onto an actual creature that's supposed to be like something you empathize with, it's like, oh no, I don't like that. We did like the dog though.
I like the concept of someone who's trapped in their home with like a killer home appliance that's trying to kill them. You know, it feels like it's very 80s, which is one of the problems I have with this story. Is
our home robots are gonna kill us?
Yeah, well, isn't automated customer service phone lines terrible?
Yes.
Like, yeah, thank you, Grandpa. Like, they feel like they're like.
I mean, they are.
Well, we still deal with them today, but they were sort of new in the 80s, and I feel like all of this was very 80s. The idea of having like home cleaning robots. There's a movie from the 80s starring Gene Simmons and Tom Selleck about runaway robots that has kind of the same plot at one point.
And something else too is it's like, I really enjoy the fact that an old person, like an elderly person, is the main character. You don't see that in sci-fi.
Yeah, they give this nice kind of establishment of this big advanced retirement community. It's very Wall-E-like.
Yes, it's also in the middle of the desert, so it's kind of implying we just ship our old people to the middle of the desert now. And we're
it's like a Nevada or Arizona type place, right?
I like the fact that they set up in the opening she's doing yoga, and then at the end she does the yoga splits to help
that
save
pays
her.
off. That's a nice little setup and payoff.
They did a good job, like, having it so that the first thing the robot does that's kind of sus is it hurts the dog, and it's like, no, don't hurt the adorable dog.
Even though the dog's acting like a bit of a dick to the robot.
A little bit,
and
but
I like
no more than any other dog.
I like when the goldfish explodes.
Oh, yeah, that was terrifying. I don't know if we're going to be able to put that.
Thing of just blah.
I don't know if we're going to be able to put that.
I'm going to repeat it 27 times right now.
No, don't do that. We'll get demonetized. We're not monetized.
Yeah, it's one of the shorter ones. I think it's like under 10. It basically, it's an in and out. The ending is interesting in that, like, okay, the entire point seems to be to sell this bots on this whitelist from robot assassination.
Yes. And also it's got a lot of mood whiplash.
Yes, it
like
does.
1 minute this fish is exploding or like she's screaming in terror.
Yeah,
and then
terrifying.
Next second it's making a funny haha joke about the automated systems. And it's like, well, am I scared or am I laughing?
Yeah, and like the old dude gets tasered in the face, and
which is funny, but then it's also like, is he about to die?
Yeah.
Tasered in the
Yeah,
face.
you're not really sure of what tone they're going for in that one, and that's why you kind of end up holding off. Upon rewatch, it was a little bit funnier because you knew
that
what
they
would
weren't
happen.
going to die.
Yeah,
yes.
but like it felt like it could have got very bloody and violent.
Yeah,
at
like
any second.
I thought for a second that the dog would die, and I was like, I did not come to the first episode of Love, Death, and Robots for the dog to die, but it didn't, so it's okay. I think overall, it's like it should have been a mid of the pack episode. Seems a little dated in the concept.
I guess, do you want to rate each episode?
Sure.
5 out of 5?
Let's do that.
Yeah. So what would you give this one?
Like a 2.5.
Out of 5?
Yeah, like a
Going
true
with that 0.5.
like a true mid pack.
I would go a little bit under. I would give it like a 2 out of 5.
That's better. So, are you willing to throw your pet at the vacuum bot? Press 1 for yes, 2 for no. What do you mean, no? It could come down to you or it, and believe this, any pet would sacrifice you in an instant.
Well, that brings us to our second episode, which is Ice. Ice is the tale of a young boy on a strange planet with his older brother. Everybody is augmented, and his brother invites him to do a like a whale racing competition. If they set it up, very interesting. It's like running on the ice.
It's a weird thing that a bunch of kids do.
Yeah,
it's like a whale initiation rite. It's not like a race. It's like a thing stupid kids do.
It's very much like a coming of age story. It's kind of like one of those like teen magazine stories you would read.
A Walk to Remember.
Yeah, but this one I feel though really stands out because of the animation.
Oh, the animation's amazing.
Only
the
2D
character
animated
design's
one.
a little weird.
Yes.
Like the way that their faces are shaped and how like beautiful they made this 14-year-old boy.
Yeah, they do that thing where it's almost like every still frame of it looks like a shot from a comic book. It also reminds me a bit of the guy who did Samurai Jack or Primal, that kind of style. But like it's the colors that really stand out, the blues and the purples and then the neons.
Mm-hmm. And then that when they get high on the ice, that scene is like,
drops
whoa.
out to white.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, that's trippy.
The story I find a little flat and a little underexplained.
Yeah, I think if you it's supposed to be focusing on the two brothers, right?
Yes.
It's supposed to be like, these are these two brothers and they're figuring out their relationship. Yes, the younger brother is augmented, the older brother isn't. And it's like they're on a world where basically everybody's augmented.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that it's this kind of story about, well, he's the normal guy without powers, and that makes him the weird one. But I also don't understand why he can't just get modded.
Yeah, I don't
like
understand
literally
why...
when they're in that alleyway, somebody shouts at him, "Get modded," and it's like, so can he?
Yeah, there should have been like a line in there, but maybe like he was allergic or something.
Or it's like because it has to be done in the womb. I don't know.
It feels like also that this is the exact same universe as Zima Blue.
A little bit, yeah. It feels like Zima Blue could have just walked into
you would have seen
this
him walking
alleyway
through the
and
background.
been like, "I'm getting my skin stuff."
It is interesting that this is the only 2D animated short this season.
Yeah, it is weird.
Last season we got Good Hunting. We got the one with Dracula.
Yes, Dracula.
Yeah. Where Dracula is afraid of cats. It's not that strong in the sense that I was kind of confused by what we were supposed to learn at the end of the short, because it does feel like it's supposed to have a bit of a twist in that the brother, the younger brother, falls and supposedly twists his ankle, and it's up to the older unaugmented brother to kind of grab him in that very cool flip.
Yes, he does a very cool flip. It's awesome. It seemed a little patronizing.
It seemed patronizing
at the end when he wasn't hurt.
Yes, it seemed like, okay, you wanted to give your brother this opportunity to prove himself.
Maybe he just healed really fast.
No, I don't think that's not the
implication was that he wasn't hurt and he faked it.
Yeah, so this one, I would say I think that the world and the kind of like the visual style knocks it up a couple of points in the end for me. Yeah, so what did you think of this one overall?
I think it's good. I liked it. I love the animation. I love the whales. I think this is a solid 3 for me. And I think the only things that I would have liked more is like, because the world building's good, the whales are gorgeous. Like I believe the characters. I would have liked one person to be likable. Also, never before have I seen them use essentially hacky sack to show that people are cool.
Yes.
Because
these are cool people
these kids are cool people hacky sacking, and I'm just staring going, I feel like I know when this was written.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. You know, it nudges a little bit up because of the animation and the world building, but it does feel a little underdeveloped.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's just a hair below a 4. Like if the characters were a little bit more engaging, I think it would be a 4.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. That brings us to the best one.
Yes.
Pop Squad. Pop Squad is about a future, a sort of neo-noir, like 80s futurist aesthetic, where people are taking rejuvenation treatments so that they can live forever, basically. Therefore, people who have children are criminals and children are shot.
On
and
site,
he is Pop Squad, Population Squad, and the main character...
Oh, I never picked up on that.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
Really? I thought it was because he popped them in the face with a gun.
No, Population Squad. He does kill a lot of children, and that's our main character. So talk about likable characters in
they
Ice.
They do a really great job right off the bat with this one because they do a show don't tell in terms of we come in with this cop. They're talking about, you know, we've found these people. They've been squatting. You know, they're pleading with them. We're just trying to live. You don't really know why they're there. You start to kind of have a feeling that maybe it's because they're keeping the kids in this condition.
Yes, because the fridge is basically barren and the place is like ramshackle.
It conjures up kind of imagery of like child protective services.
Yes.
You know, that
but
kind
nope.
of...
They're the exact opposite of that.
Yes.
And then he shoots a baby in the face.
Two of them, technically.
Yes, 2 babies. But you the one is the one that he keeps focusing on.
That cut from the gun to the car.
Yes.
The car sort of being the bullet, that match cut. It's well done. His outfit, too, with the black hat and the long black coat. It's both very Nazi-like, but also... very like 1950s G-Man type.
Yes.
Like he looks like one of the Men in Black essentially.
And it's a real juxtaposition between the lower floors, like the lower levels of Earth, which are like, you know,
Basically
overgrown
abandoned.
and basically abandoned. And then the higher levels, which are where all the rich and famous people live.
Which I feel like it's a big metaphor because I feel like everybody gets rejuvenating juice or whatever. I feel like everybody gets it because it's almost like mandatory. It's kind of like equilibrium in the sense like you have to take it, and that these people who aren't taking it are criminals because they aren't taking it.
Do we know for sure that they're not taking it even though they have kids?
Well, it seems like from the way they react, they are, you know, kind of saying, but maybe there's like something too with this rejuvenation serum that kind of deadens your emotions.
Well, it definitely seemed like she was getting high.
Yes.
When she got it. But the rest of the story is essentially, guy goes back up, sees his girlfriend, he's having a crisis about it. And then he follows a lead, just kind of because he is. And he goes to the place where somebody bought this dinosaur toy for the kid that he shot in the opening.
Yeah, you can sort of see him being a detective.
Yes, and then he follows this woman who bought a train, and she goes back to her house, and she has a kid. And so he has a conversation with her, where it's basically him going like, I'm having a crisis about the fact that I keep shooting children in the face. And she's like, well, yeah, you should. The whole conversation's amazing.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he walks out after she tries to pull the gun on him. He does not shoot the kid, so some character growth. Good for him. And then he shoots his partner.
Who has been set up as sort of the hardliner younger partner.
And then he dies.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know.
It's got that sort of like that. It's very steeped in film noir.
It's a real downer ending.
Yeah, it's very steeped in that sort of film noir. No happy endings, no villains, no heroes.
We've got so many pros on this one because it's wonderful.
This is the best episode of the entire season.
Yes.
Both in terms of content. Maybe not necessarily animation because there is a few problems in terms of
his girlfriend
style.
has a weird design to her face. I don't know what they were.
It's a little too stylized.
Yes, and especially, and she's barely in it, which is, this is that marketing thing I wanted to mention. She's like a huge feature in the trailer, which again, you can look at our trailer reaction to see how we felt about it. But she's huge in the trailer. She's barely in the episode.
Yes.
She's in that first bit when you meet her, when she's opera singing, and then they have a conversation, and they have a really morbid conversation where at one point he was like, you know, if we weren't going to live forever, I'd marry you. And she goes, well, if we weren't going to live forever, I'd let you get me pregnant.
Yeah, it conjures up. It feels like it's very in tone with that sort of dystopic sci-fi where it's about the hero not necessarily changing the system but overcoming the system.
It's kind of great from top to bottom,
Yes.
right? Like the animation,
a lot of great choices.
The animation maybe isn't the best out of the pack, but like the style was fine, and I think it really sort of evoked the tone besides the character design a little bit. They designed those kids adorably.
Yes.
So you're really
get
like,
hit in the gut when they're
don't do that. Don't do it, man. He's
Yeah.
like, I can't do it. You're like,
Yeah.
great. The music's really good, which this is the first one we've mentioned the music on, and it'll probably be
it's
the
got
last.
that synthy Blade Runner-esque
Yes,
emotional
because the rest
score,
of them, the music doesn't really
the
like,
mix of
hit
the
you.
new and the old orchestral.
The editing's on point.
Yes.
So like I can only think that this is just
Writing
the best
wise,
one.
I feel like too that this is one of the ones where I can't tell what period of time the story was written in. We talked about earlier episodes.
Yes.
Definitely feels like it was written in the 90s or the 80s.
Yes.
This one I can't really tell. It feels like it could have been written yesterday. It feels like it could have been written in the 30s.
Yes, it has a lot going for it, and it feels kind of like this is going to be one of our favorites.
Yes. No,
It's
I would
hard to
rank
watch,
this up there
though.
with. It is hard to watch.
Yes, it's a heavy episode. It's rough.
But I think despite its faults, there aren't really enough to ding any points off. I think
No.
we're both going to kind of agree on the rating on this one. I would give it a 5 out of 5, of course.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
giving
that
it
this-
also a 5 out of 5.
Well, that's when the neighbors heard. Thought it was a dog at first. I mean, what the fuck did these breeders think would happen? The noise those things make. I don't know if going off Reju makes them stupid. Come on. They're just born that way.
Which brings us to the next episode, which is Snow in the Desert.
I feel like a lot of this story was just built around the title.
Yeah, maybe. Snow in the Desert is about an albino man who lives in the desert
Named Snow.
on an alien planet. His name is Snow. You see him kind of going into town. I assume it's like the only time he goes into town every
I get
2 months.
huge Mandalorian vibes.
Oh, real
from-
strong Mandalorian vibes, real strong Firefly vibes.
That's sort of like frontier, space frontier.
And you
right?
said like later seasons of Discovery too.
Yeah,
right?
like the latest season of Discovery,
Mhm.
where it's very like space frontier and like everybody's just trying to make a living out here on the Raggedy Edge.
Yes.
As Mal
So
would
he
say.
goes into town and he orders. I think he got strawberries.
No, that's
right?
the package. Yeah, he gets
Yeah.
actual real strawberries.
He gets actual
from-
strawberries from Earth.
which again is also taken almost directly from Firefly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that thing where it's like, oh, the most common stuff grown on Earth out in space would be a high luxury.
Yes. So he goes in. He gets his strawberries. Then he goes to the bar to have a drink.
My name is Gelda Conley. They call me Whitey. Bounty hunters, right? What's he done, this Snow guy?
No, it's not me wants him. It's the merchant Barris. There's a big reward for his balls.
Because yes, they want his testicles.
Yeah, that's a
That is
big
the whole
point.
conceit of this.
They bring that up a lot.
Yeah, they want his testicles. So he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna kill you. He kills 2 of them, gets his arm blown off, and then the third one gets killed by a pretty lady who was sitting at the bar. Yes,
following
and so he goes into the desert, he meets up with this lady. They talk a bit about why he wants his testicles are wanted, and it's because he's functionally immortal. His cells regrow. His hand's gonna come back in less than a week. Then later on, after they have sex, because they go to his house and then they have sex.
Which this is the only one I can. There's some like brief moments of sexuality in Pop Squad, but this is the only one
Yes.
with like out and out sex.
Yes, and boobs. And then the next day they get attacked. Well, next night, because things happen at night because it's a desert planet, which is again more fun world building. And then they fight together, and you find out that she is a android cyborg.
She's like a RoboCop, where she was like in an accident, and she says that like underneath all this space metal, whatever word she uses for her space metal, is a nervous system and like a brain and stuff. So like she's basically a brain in a jar.
Yes.
Yeah, she's
So
like Sonny.
functionally immortal,
Yes, just like him. Yeah.
just like him. And that's the point.
Mhm.
And then they both murder a bunch of people together, and then they live happily ever after, question mark? Because
Yeah.
that's basically the end.
This feels like it's the opening, or at least the setup for what could be a good story.
Yes.
But the problem is where the story ends is where it should begin almost.
Yes.
Like you kind of, it's about learning, I guess, about the two twists of like him being immortal and then her being immortal. And they do
Yeah.
that thing 3 times where she saves him by killing the person from behind, and it's like a
Yes.
surprise he's about to die, and then that dies.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
the second time you do it, you think she's dead because she gets shot a bunch.
Yes.
And then she stands up and stabs the guy right through the
the
heart
violence
with her
is
hand.
very like, it's gory.
Oh, it's the goriest one of the
But
lot, I
it's
would
done in
think.
that sort of like hardline matter of fact way. It doesn't
Mhm.
linger on the gore. It's not about how cool it looks. It's
Mhm.
just like, bam, someone gets shot in the head, and it's violent and disgusting. And
now we're on to the next
Yeah,
shot where
yeah.
he's fighting someone else.
Yeah.
I really liked a lot of this. There was a lot to like in here. The animation is beautiful. The
Mhm.
sand animation's gorgeous. The lighting effects were gorgeous. The core concept of him being immortal and like, living
People hunting
alone on
for
this
him.
planet and people hunting him because he's immortal. That's fun. Like you see that in other movies. Her being immortal too, that's fun. I like her robot body. Like when her
Yes.
skin gets burnt off, you can see her robot.
It's very like
face.
glossy and like
And it's
clear.
It's cool, and I like it. The story's kind of thin. Oh, the world building is really cool. I like all the casual aliens.
This is the most we see of like casual aliens.
Yes.
Maybe since Ice, but Ice doesn't really have too much in like the
Aliens.
weird, like realistic looking aliens. Like
Yeah,
this
it's mostly
has.
just got those
like
whales.
this got the people who accost him in the bar look kind of like these like.
Oh
they're
yeah, they got
turned-
their skeletons on the
They're
inside
like turned
out.
inside out. They remind me
Yeah.
of like the Titans from
And they've
Attack
got
on
like
Titan.
skull bone fringes, but they also have their muscles are like visible. It's cool.
Yes, it's very cool. It definitely feels the most Star Warsy out of all of them.
I don't like that the core conceit is we need to get his balls.
No, the short doesn't set the tone it needs to with that, because that
No.
makes me feel uncomfortable, and it should be played more as like the tone should be played higher, as more of like an outrageous higher. They would linger on the gore more, and it would be sort of Tarantino-esque if it was meant to evoke that sort of like ultra violence,
Yeah.
let's get this guy's balls tone.
And like the main character doesn't seem to change or grow at all.
oh no, he's done.
He's the same basically all the way
He
through.
doesn't even react that strongly to
Her being a robot.
or to saying like, oh, I have somebody who can be with me forever now, which seemed
Yeah.
to be his core
They
problem.
just kiss, and then it fades back, and it's like, eh. The female character is kind of weak. Her motives are fuzzy. Like, she's like, I also want your balls, but I want your balls
Yeah.
willingly. And it's like, so you want him to
Mhm.
go with you to Earth? And then she says something about how she works for AIs, and it's like kind of foreshadowing to the fact that she's a cyborg.
I feel like the also problem with this one is that it comes after both Ice and Pop Squad, where Ice and Pop Squad feel like they're definitely going up in terms of quality, and then this feels like a real dip down, a real clunker in terms of a follow up to those. It
it's
kind of
not-
stops your flow.
It's not as good as those two were. That brings us to our star rating. So, Chris, what would you give this on a scale from 1 to 5?
I would rate this one a 3.5 in that I would rate it under Ice, because again, Ice feels like it's coming up, and then you get to Pop Squad, and this feels like it's a real dip down below. It's very digestible but forgettable.
Yeah, I would go with 3 too. I'm thinking about it while you're talking about it, and yeah, I would go with a 3. I think it's just kind of like a solid midline one.
No, it's not me wants him. It's the merchant Barris. There's a big reward for his balls.
Balls.
So we are about half an hour into this video, which means we're gonna cut it in half.
8 episodes, that makes sense. 4
Yeah.
for the first one.
So split it 4 and 4. So that is the end of this half. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. We are going to put up part 2 on Monday. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have already subscribed, thank you. We love you.
All right, everybody, stay safe and be who you are.
We love you.
Bye.
Bye.